Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS. In today's video, we'll begin with the Chola Empire. Alright, one thing with respect to Chola Empire is you have large number of sources. Okay, you have rich source, rich inscriptions, rich literature. Okay, a rich architecture. Okay, so with the Cholas we will not be see. We spoke something about your movender. Alright, that is Chera, Chola, Pandya. Right, we already did videos based on your Chera and Pandyas, okay, for which the link will be given in the description below. Please have a look at that. With respect to Chola, we'll be doing a little different. See your Cholas, alright. Now somewhere during the 3rd century BCE to 3rd century AD, alright, we had something called a Sangam Age, right. In that period of time, all three are mentioned, or your concept of movender. Chera, Chola, Pandya are mentioned in Sangam period, right? That is somewhere upon 3rd century AD, right? Then what happens, right? What happens after Sangam period is it does not continue, right? Right after Sangam period, again it doesn't continue with Chera, Chola, Pandya. Different other kings will come into power, okay. Now different other, for example, your Pallavas will be there, okay. The reigning things will be different. Again, they'll keep on fighting. Now again when you say Chola, it will be different kind of Cholas. Cheras, different Cheras. Pandyas, different Cheras, right? Somewhere your Cholas, okay. Now this we spoke about in your Sangam period, right? Your Cholas again make a re-entry back. This applies same for your Cheras as well as your Pandyas. They make the entry back in your medieval period. Okay, they make their entry back in the medieval period, and post your medieval period, okay, in the medieval period somewhere the Chola power loses its importance or loses its scope under your, okay, contemporaries. Constantly they've been battling, okay, they're always trying to gain power, the southern region, right, where more and more competition is coming. Chera, Chola, Pandya, Pallava, Chalukya, right, most of them are coming up. Somewhere they will lose it and again they will come back re-raised to power. With respect to your that period we will call as later Chola period, right. So what we will do is we'll discuss each of them differently. Alright, now we will first begin with the Sangam Age or beginning of Cholas, which is about, okay, entirely talking in the Sangam Age period, that is 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. Alright, now in this period of Cholas that we will be talking about, right, in this particular video we will club all the things, right. For example, art, architecture, political structure, economy, how the society was, or basically see, even though we said Sangam period somewhere 3rd century AD patented, and again somewhere in 8th centuries again they will begin, right. So when there is so much of gap or difference, but still we will call them as Chola. Why? Because there will be something irrespective of the time difference, okay, irrespective. Now for example, the Cholas are considered as one of the longest, okay, reigning kings, okay, longest reigning kings. Now when you say that and when you have different periods of time, early Chola period or Sangam period, medieval Cholas, later Cholas, and all of them are clubbed under Cholas, they would have some unique features, okay, which will be visible in all three period of times, right. That is why it is all called as Chola period, right. Even though we have subsections like early Cholas, medieval Cholas, later Cholas, but the entire concept of Chola still remains the same. We'll see what is that feature that has connected the path from your early, medieval, later Cholas. Alright. Now here in this video we'll be discussing about your early Cholas or Cholas of your Sangam Age. Alright. Let's get into the video. How do we know that the Cholas existed in this period of time? Right. That 3rd BC to 3rd AD. How? First thing is Sangam literature. Right. In your Ashokan inscription, there is mention of the southern kings, okay, but it does not specify that they were the subordinates of Ashoka. Understanding, the inscription specifies and mentions and it validates, okay, the placing of Cholas in the Sangam Age, but it does not tell that they were subordinates to them. Rather, they had good relationships with the Ashokan Empire or central administration in the north. Alright, that is one thing you have to know. Alright. Next, in the Greco-Roman, we have seen the trade that the Romans had with India, right, in Periplus of Erythraean Sea, right. In that the mention is there with Cholas, okay, how the trade used to take place, alright. The next source which, okay, supports and validates the credibility of placing Cholas in that particular timeline is your Ptolemy's geography. Okay, so we're not just basing the Cholas were there in this period of time just on one literature, we're taking multiple sources. Okay, multiple sources to fix or validate, yes, at this point of time this particular ruler was there, this particular kingdom was flourishing in this particular zone. Your Chera, Chola, Pandya. Again, Movender, that concept you should have known by hearted it by now very much. Movender means these three people. Okay, all three of them the same thing. Sangam Age, right? Your Pandyas, Sangam is nothing but your early. Now Pandyas, Cheras, Cholas, all of them have been mentioned in the Sangam time during the early period or early Sangam period, right? They also make a comeback in medieval period. Okay, the Cholas are also there in the later period. Alright, clear up until now? Yes. Now, see, I have already told you we've discussed your Cheras and Pandyas, right? I'm hoping, okay, you've seen the video on that. Now, just based on the maps, can you tell which is Chola, which is Chera and which is Pandya? If you do know that, please pop it down in the description box below. Okay, I'm assuming you did that. Now, let's just discuss, right? Your fish, okay, will go to your Pandyas. Your bow and arrow will go to your Cheras. Your tiger will go to your Cholas. Yes. The emblem of your Cholas was tiger. That was the same thing with respect to your early Sangam period or early Cholas, medieval Cholas and your later Cholas. Alright. So, when we said unique thing that is connecting the string between your early Chola, medieval Chola, later Chola, right? Something is there that is connecting all three of them. In that, the first one is your emblem. That is your tiger. Alright, clear up until now? Next. Now, your Sangam literature, okay, also says that Cholas or the Chola Nadu, right, will be described in different names throughout its literature, right? It will be called as Kaveri Nadu, Cho Nadu or Chola Nadu. Puhar is a port, but sometimes when Puhar it means, okay, your Cholan period, right? And Neer Nadu, right? Neer basically means water, right? Kaveri River. So, somewhere the river. Your Kaveri River plays a central role with respect to your Cholas, right? Kaveri Patnam, Kaveri River, okay, this source, okay, this is not just affecting your geography but also your polity, right, administration, society, literature, okay, all of your early Cholas, medieval Cholas, right, later Cholas. Kaveri plays an important central authority or role. Alright, the capitals will keep on changing. Early Cholas to your medieval Cholas to your later Cholas, the capitals will change, the other important prominent zones will come up. But one thing that will stay central or common to all three of them is your Kaveri River. Now, when we said one thing that the line that keeps on connecting between all three of your Cholas, one was your emblem, another is your Kaveri River. Alright. Next, as we've spoken, is their emblem tiger. Alright, moving ahead. The early Cholas, okay, which was their zone of influence, that is your Tanjavur Tiruchirappalli region. Okay, this zone, alright, was your zone of power or zone of centrality for your early Sangam Chola. This was the seat of power. What do I mean by seat of power? Which means this zone is where their power was mostly concentrated. Tanjavur, Tiruchirappalli regions. Alright. What were the important capitals with respect to your Sangam Cholas or early Cholas? One is Urayur, another is Kaveri Patnam. Alright. Both these places are extremely important. Okay. Somewhere of your capital city. Okay. Of your Sangam Chola or early Cholas. Alright. See, for example, Urayur was considered a busiest port. Okay, it was so important that your Cholan administration, Cholan economy, Cholan politics revolved around this place. That is the significance of Urayur. Urayur, the mention of Urayur is there in a huge quantity in majority of your Sangam works. Sangam period works. Okay, Sangam is a period of time we are calling. Also, it is a place where a lot of literary activity were produced. In that, Urayur, the mention of Urayur is in large quantity. Okay, the same with respect to your Kaveri Patnam. Alright. Next, one central figure or one central ruler with respect, if you have to associate with Sangam Cholas, that is your Karigala Cholan. See, one more thing you have to know, that is, see, Karigala Cholan. Alright, the name will keep on appearing multiple other times. That will be for a different kings, different period of times. Okay, so one central prominent ruler of early Sangam Chola period was your Karigala Cholan. Understanding? Next, see, about Karigala Cholan, there are majority of your literary works which have reference or which talks about your Karigala Cholan. Right? One such thing is Pattinapalai. Pattinapalai, this is another source. Both of which talk about your Karigala Cholan, okay, and also about, okay, how the society was at that period of time. Let's take an example. Pattinapalai. Right? We'll split the words. Pattinapalai. Pattina means city, Palai means desert. Basically, right, in this particular source, the content is how a man, okay, views the wife's separation from her husband as too unbearable. Okay, that is the theme. But the theme is in very limited number of scope, limited number of lines. Rest all it speaks about is your Karigala Cholan, the society during that period of time. Okay, how the trade was during that point of time, how the merchants were carrying out the trade at that period of time. So when I say Pattinapalai, right, one sector of the story was where a man speaks about how his wife is feeling too much unbearable pain of being separated from her husband and all those things, right? But that also provides us a clear-cut distinction as to how the art, architecture, society, economy of your early Cholan period flourished. Alright, this particular source, okay, provides us a key insight into all of these, and also it validates, okay, the credibility of Karigala Cholan being the king at that point of time. Alright, in Pattinapalai we also come across the words, or it speaks largely about your Kaveri Patnam, right, early Chola kingdom. Again, as we spoke about how the society was, how the merchants was, how the trade was carried out, how the soldiers was, how the administration was, how the economy was taking place, okay, what was the belief system of the people, or how the people were, most importantly, how the people were they happy, were they sad, okay, were they happy, were they sad, was the king looking after the needs of the people, were the people loyal to the king? Every single of these we can get a source from here. Understanding? We'll just see how, okay, it is depicted. See, this is a particular, okay, line from your Pattinapalai. Let's just have a look, okay. Just this gives us a clear understanding, and this acts as a huge source in providing us how the society was at that period of time. That is how the Cholas were during the period of your early beginning time or your Sangam period. Alright, look at this. Quite free and happy are their lives. Whose lives? People's. Right? Amidst their multiplying kin, right? What does this mean? Okay, the prosperity with respect to children. Okay, they were prosperous with respect to children. Alright, they know no foes, the fishes play near the fishers' quarters unafraid, and cattle multiply untouched. Cattle wealth was larger. Alright, in butchers' haunts, and cattle multiply untouched in butchers' haunts. The merchants thus condemn the taking of these lives. They tolerate not thieving while. Now here, okay, we talking about the merchant class. right? Or how the trade was going on. See, we know Cholas, right? We spoke something about Kaveri River, basically Cholas, right? Somewhere of the port city is very important, coastal area is very important, right? So coastal or the zones where trade was taking place, right? Another thing is with respect to your fishing, right? Trading, traveling, communication, cultural change, all these things were happening in your coastal zone. So coastal zone is very, very important with respect to your Cholas, that is be with your early, medieval or later, okay, like in the thread that we mentioned, okay. Along with emblem Kaveri River, one more most important thing was your importance given to your coasts or coastal area, or port cities or port towns, right? Those are very important. This is the connecting threads, all right. Okay, now we see how the merchants were, how the trade was, all right. What was, okay, the society like at that point of time? Was it only money oriented? Was it only running behind money, or was there any value system? The most important thing, was there any value system? Was ethics strong enough for that society? These two are the key things that you have to know from here. Let's look at how the value system was, how the ethics system was, okay. They condemn taking these slaves, they tolerate not thieving while they do their duties by the gods, okay, which means, okay, what does it mean? They were honest, okay, they do their duties by the gods, alright. Oblations offer, tend with care, fine bulls and cows, exalt the priests, they teach the Vedas for, right. So it is telling the priests were also present, they were the ones who were teaching Vedas, alright. So what does it mean? Different stratification of society, that is Varna system, was observed here also, okay. But again, Varna system stratification is not very stringent here, okay. We see the Varna system stratification here also, but that is not very stringent, alright, in early Sangam period or early Chola period, right. Their guests' food cooked and uncooked too. Unstingingly they dispense alms, which means they were generous, right. When we say value system ethics, they were on good terms, in fact very good terms, alright. And live a life of gracious love, which means how did the people live their life? Graciously, happily. So to an extent, see, every society will have an exception. On general or in an average, if you say, the early Chola period was a happy life for the subjects. There was good amount of trade going on. The trade was carried out with value system ethics and in honest manner. Understanding? So this gives just this one, this is a passage from your Pattinapalai. It gives us an insight as to how the Chola system, how the early Cholas, okay, society was, how the early Chola kings was, how exactly we are placing, this is how or what happened, okay, in the Chola period, alright. Next, look at this, this is also a passage from your Pattinapalai. They speak the truth and deem it shame to lie, alright. Again, when we spoke about your ethics, right, a value system of the society, okay, this is more specific with respect to your merchants or how the trade was carried out. Now by trade, right, by this trade, this involves both administration, politics, how the society was, because the king has to set an example. Yes or no? The king, if he is okay with letting corruption be in, with letting people get as much as money they want, or extortion, or basically if he is just concerned about getting money, he wouldn't care about this. So he is setting an example, he is setting how the administration should be, how the trade should be, and the people are following that, and that is why we can say good amount of ethics or good amount of value system, right, which means the king was also having a central administration, right, with respect to your early Cholas, right. This central administration is another feature with respect to the connecting dots, okay. This is your central administration, alright. This is a common feature with respect to early Chola, medieval Chola and later Cholas, Alright. Now, they speak the truth and deem it a shame to lie. For others' good, they have the same regard as for their own in trade. Right? They are not of the value that if I benefit, that is more than enough. Okay? I also should benefit, others also should benefit. Like for a just society or for a fair and equitable trade to take place, this should be the underlying principle. Okay? For others' good, they have the same regard as for their own in trade. Okay? So, which meant the trade that was happening in your early Chola period was fair and equitable. This is evident in this. Alright, are you getting an idea as to how to relate this as a source, or how to frame that this is how the society was in early Chola period? Alright, next, nor do they try to get too much in selling their own goods, right? Which means, right, corruption was not that. Again, corruption, when you say, everywhere exception is there, but too much corruption, nor the fact that cheating, extortions, those things were seen in a lesser quantity. In general, if you see the society, the same thing, fair and equitable trade is witnessed. Alright? Nor give too little when they buy. That is, it's not that just when I'm buying, okay, I should get it at less price, but whereas I'm selling, I should get more price. That is not there. That is why fair and equitable trade was observed, or was a feature of your early Chola period. Alright? They set a fair price on all things. Understanding? This is how your literature, okay, inscriptions, coins, sources from other people are used, okay, as an idea to set how the kingdom was. Alright? The same thing we are doing. Alright? Clear up until now how the early Cholan kingdom was? Right? Next. See your Karigala Cholan. Right? He is credited for building a Kallanai dam. So long back we spoke something about Karigala Cholan. Okay? Arranging him back to Sangam Age. Right? When we say Kallanai dam was built by Karigalan and in Sangam Age, imagine how old the dam is. Right? So obviously this will become a tourist spot. Right? Second thing, this will become a very important portion in history. Right? Or this will become the past that connects the present and the future. Right? One such thing is your Kallanai Dam, which is in your Tanjavur district. This is also called as Grand Anicut. Right? See, now with respect to Anicut, this is also called as Anicut. See, one thing is your there are some sources which claim that Karigala Chola, when he had been to other places for expedition, okay, he would bring prisoners and he would lock them up somewhere near the Grand Anicut region, right? Indicating Anicut also comes into, okay, the word Anicut is mentioned multiple places in your literature sources, alright? Next, moving on, Chola Pass. It is said that, right, between your Sikkim and Bhutan region, right, when your Chola king had been there, okay, they had inscribed the tiger, or basically, okay, telling that this particular region, okay, the Chola king had visited. Or some sources claim that he had influenced there. Some people tell that no, he himself had carved, okay, his emblem being that tiger, right, they had carved it down there. That is why it is called as Chola Pass. This is there in today, right, today's present, right. This present dates back to the history or past, right. So this Chola Pass has this story of, okay, between Sikkim and Bhutan region. The Chola Pass indicates that one sources tell that it was having Chola influence, the other sources tell that no, the Cholan king had been there and that time he had, okay, engraved things onto the rock present there, right. Sources are claiming majority things. Next is your one important thing we have to discuss is your Karigala Cholan. One thing, what does Karigala means, right? Kari, black, Kala, leg. One sources tell that at a very early young age, Karigala Cholan, okay, with a conspiracy of all his enemies, okay, they put him in a prison somewhere, and while trying to escape, okay, he got his leg burnt, okay, and even in that, okay, he tried to escape and come out and save himself. That is one source. There is other stories that tells that, okay, where Karigala Cholan was waging a battle, in which battle, okay, because of his leg he couldn't, okay, further move ahead, so he himself burnt his leg, okay. There are multiple stories, right, that could be true, that could not be true, but this is a very important and prominent personality with respect to your early Sangam Cholan period. Alright, that is Karigala Cholan. Again, we have multiple names of this sort coming in different periods of history. Alright, next. The mention of Karigala Cholan in early Sangam texts are in varied numbers. Which texts are specifying about Karigala Cholan or early Cholan administration? Right? One thing is your Agam and Puram poets. See, Agam is something about love. Puram, something about your war. Right? Agam and Puram poets like, okay, these poets in the works they have produced speak about your king Karigalan, also speak about your early Sangam period, right, and also your Cholan administration, society, economy, okay, with respect to early Cholan phase. Mudathamma Kanniyar, okay, Mudathamma Kanniyar has written this source. Uttiran Kannar writes a Pattinu Palai. Okay, even in here the mention is about your Karigala Cholan, early Cholan period, Sangam age. Other than that, your Movender, okay, administration, geography, location, all these things are mentioned. So this will act as a source and setting for your early Cholan period. Alright, clear up until now? Next, who are the other kings? Right, again the source we are using is your literary sources. The other kings mentioned, see for example in Silapadikaram or Mani Meghala is King Kandan, Kakandan, Sembian, right. They say these are the early Cholan kings. Stories they are associated with is for example saving your dove, okay, saving the dove bird, and then saving the cattle and its calf, right. They have multiple stories associated with them. Basically the stories are one thing. The most important thing we will be looking into is the association of the stories is to the kings. So we relate that kings belong to this period. For example, these kings, okay, belong to your early Cholan period, right. Next is your Karigala Vallavan, right. Agamanpuram poets, like they speak about him, and also the same thing, the same name will keep on repeating in different parts of your history. Alright, Peruvirar Kili, okay, he had this title, okay. The poets who mention, okay, this particular king belonged to your early Cholan period, okay. They also mention about, okay, that they were mourning the deaths of the king Cheran, right. They were also mentioning about how the loss of particular kings was affecting the society, okay. Next is this particular king, okay, who is mentioned by this poet. He had this particular title. Basically just that these were also the other prominent early Cholan kings. So in a way we have summed up a holistic approach of how the kings were, who the kings were, where they were, how the administration was, what trade was carried out, okay, how the trade was, how the value and ethics system of the trade was, how the people of that particular place was, right. All these sums up your early Cholan Sangam age Cholas. Alright, now that's it for this video. If you do like our content, subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up and share it along with your friends. Thank you.